Oval are a German electronic music project who were formed in 1991 by four German guys. 2 years later, they released their first album and one member left. And after releasing two more albums over the next 2 years, two more members left. That left Marcus Pop as the only member. He didn't continue the pattern, but then sporadically released 13 more studio albums over the intervening time as a solo project under the name Oval. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of 94 Diskont. I won't attempt the German of that, by the band Oval, which was released in 1995 and was their third album. And it's my first encounter with them, so I've not heard this album before. So I'm completely new to it. You get, I guess, I mean, it's a review, but I guess you could think of it as a reaction if you like. But I do reviews. I call them reviews. So I would call this either glitch ambient or ambient glitch. And I'm not sure which way around that should be, which is the noun or which is the verb. Pick for yourself. Acclaimed Music, who are the curators of the list that I'm reviewing from, have called it glitch, but I think the word ambient should be included there as well. Excuse me. It's definitely instrumental electronica. So this was the last album from Oval with three members. It was, I don't know how long it was after this that two of the members left. And apparently their method of creating this is to not use synthesizers, but is to take CDs and deface them, generally by drawing on them and maybe scratching them as well, and then play them and sample it and then loop those samples and build from there. So it's quite unusual, definitely. So it's very loopy. There are snatches of what seem to be mostly synthy or at least quite empty sounds. Possibly, so I'm going to say new agey stuff predominantly, I think, is what they've started from. And then that's multi-layered with glitch sounds in the mix as well. So there'll be quite a lot of choice of what they could sample. They I think they probably made good choices going for this new agey stuff predominantly. So I don't know how much of the glitchy and more kind of percussive sounds are from stuff that was with the thing that they've sampled, or if they've separately done, or if they've done it over silence or done it over different bits. Sometimes it's hard to tell. The way that stuff comes in and out seems to imply that there's separate things that are then being layered up together. It's very loopy and repetitive. Sometimes it settles into a recognizable rhythm. Sometimes they've worked it out so that the different elements are actually in time with each other, and sometimes less so. So sometimes it's done so that you've got a loop, but it kind of glitches back into the loop, so it feels like there's not the complete passage of something, or complete two bars or however many it is before it goes back. Sometimes you've got things going on that are looping at different rates, so that kind of pulls that feel apart. And I think, as I've probably already talked about it seems to have kind of foreground stuff, background stuff, and more percussive glitchy bits in there. And by percussive, I mean kind of clicks and crackles and crunches and things like that. I'm fairly sure there's some studio messing about too. So they've made or there's certainly some people have made a thing about their process, which is about defacing CDs. I think there's more to it than that as well, because I think there's some things that are happening here that I'm not sure are possible on a CD. So there are things like there's got certainly the major track. I'll talk about uh, what the major track is in a little bit, but they've got bits that are going backwards as well. So I don't know if that's from the thing that they've sampled or if they're doing it backwards. There's also micro slowdowns in that main track, which sounds like, so if you imagine a vinyl LP going around, any vinyl record, and then getting a piece of soft foam or cotton wool or something, and gently touching it to slow it down just a little bit briefly. So it goes that kind of thing, and just little bits of that, which gives it this detuned feel. I don't know if that's actually possible on a CD. My knowledge of the technology is that I suspect it's not, because it's the way that it's played and sampled is more likely to skip a little bit than to actually slow down. Anyway, so I think that that's done in the studio, and there are other things as well. Um, there's some stereo sweeping, but what there is not a lot of, or maybe not any of, is EQ sweeping. It's where the tone changes and you make things mushy and then make them brighter again and stuff, which is very prevalent in lots of electronic stuff. It doesn't seem to be in here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about brains, because I have these theories. I've developed lots of theories over the years as I've been doing these reviews, but one of the things that I know about the human brain is that it's the the thing that is really, really good at is finding patterns in things. So it's why we categorize. It's why we do make hierarchies and I can't remember the right word for it, but animals are categorized into high level categories and lower level categories, and down. And it's why we do things like see faces in clouds, and we recognize patterns very, very quickly and easily. So our brains like patterns. But the other thing that's quite interesting is that our brains also like it when those patterns are broken deliberately, in ways that kind of make us go, oh, or give us a bit of a surprise. So things that are unusual and outside patterns can also be pleasing. So the combination of patterns and broken patterns is something. Incidentally, the kind of breaking of patterns is foundational to humour. Um, Right. Pulling out of why am I talking about this? Because I think that this is what this album does: is it sets up patterns, but it also breaks patterns. And a lot of the brokenness is about rhythmic brokenness, using the glitchy sounds as well. Musically, it's not what I'd call, it's not harmonically consistent. It's more kind of free form than that. Um, so the structure of this is centered around a 24-minute track, which is called Do While, with which then has a coda, which is the last track on the album, depending on the version of the album where you've got this. They've messed about with the order in different territories. The version I listen to, the coda is nearly 5 minutes of very similar to Do While, which is called Do While Command X. Um, I've got a few questions I'm going to then ask myself about it. Sorry, and then the rest are shorter tracks with different fields. So, first question: did I find it interesting? Yes, I think there's a lot of focus on the specifics of the process here, and thinking about that process, thinking about how it's put together, kind of picking out the layers of stuff that are in here. There's quite a bit of listening that can be done for that. So intellectually, it stimulated me. Is it music? I think only in the broadest sense. I mean, it depends on what you define music as being, and I've come across several different definitions of music. Some people will hear this and think this is either irritatingly repetitive or it's pointless noise. And I know people who would respond like that to this. But then the really important question is, did I enjoy it? Yeah, not really, I'm afraid. Is more interesting than enjoyable. The sounds that are used are not unpleasant. So it's not grating. Some electronica stuff, if they use kind of grating, jarring sounds, that's often what puts me off some stuff. But the constant pulling of this rhythmic expectations can get a bit wearing after a while. Doesn't quite work as ambient because it attracts too much attention with these kind of the glitchy nature of it, but it doesn't quite work as something to focus on and listen to. So it's somewhere between those, or it's, I think, probably best thought of as defying the norms of both ends of that spectrum. So You may love it though. I mean, this is just my opinion. I'd love to know what your opinion is. You might love it, you might hate it, you might have more information about how they've done it. You might want to share anything about this album. So please do join the conversation by leaving a comment down there. But that's it from me for now.